Watermelon fresca is so good. Hello everyone and welcome back to Mastering the Techniques of Cooking. I'm your host, Anna. I just love doing that with the sound over it. Anyways, welcome to our third video of a 7-part series on Aromatics 101. Aromatics 101. So we've looked at the French Mirepoix, that was our first video, and we looked at our second video, which was the Italian Sofrito. But today we're going to be looking at the Spanish style Sofrito, and we're going to compare and contrast what's similar and what is different. The French Mirepoix and the Italian Sofrito had celery, carrot, and onion in common, with the cooking fat being different, whereas butter was to the French as olive oil was to the Italians. But with the Spanish Sofrito, its base is actually more than what we've already seen, which is tomatoes, peppers, onions, garlic, paprika, particularly the sweet variety, and olive oil as the cooking fat. So there's no carrots and no celery. Sorry guys. The same ratio applies here with 2 parts onion and 1 part peppers and tomatoes. Their extra seasonings can depend on the region. We're gonna be making the basic style Sofrito with tomatoes, peppers, onions, garlic, paprika, and olive oil. When I was doing my research, I really wanted to pick a recipe that highlighted the Sofrito. So I decided to make a Spanish style shakshuka. And you've probably heard of a dish called shakshuka before, but it's actually a North African recipe where the eggs are poached in the spicy tomato sauce. The only difference between the North African version of the shakshuka and Spanish style Sofrito shakshuka is just the different spices. There's more spices like cumin and jalapenos in the North African style. So let's explore some different ingredients and different techniques and see if we can recreate a delicious Spanish style Sofrito shakshuka. Meet me in the kitchen and let's get started. In order to unlock the flavor that the Spanish style Sofrito has to offer is to do these steps like we've done before, which is first sweat your onions, second add your peppers and sweat those for a little bit, and then go ahead and add the seasonings like the paprika and garlic. So that's what we're doing here. We got a heavy bottom saucepan and I put the olive oil in it, and we're gonna heat this over low to medium heat depending on your stove. And I'm going to add the first step in this aromatic process, which is sweating the onions. So we wanna do this low and slow like always, about 10 to 15 minutes. This brown color that you see is actually from the steak that I cooked before here. So my pan was just a little bit not too clean, but it's for flavor, so it's fine.
Bruh.
11 minutes later.
So then you're going to find your onions going to be nice and sweated here, a little bit translucent. That means that they are slowly releasing their liquid. Now it's time for stage 2. So we're going to continue developing the flavors, which is now introducing the peppers. Now I want to cook this for about a minute or 2 just to start letting them soften a bit. We don't want to turn this to mush. We want to have a little bit of textural support at the end of the dish, so we don't want to cook it to death.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
And as you can see, the colors have gotten a little bit less, a little bit more translucent, but there's still a little bit of texture to it. Now it's time to introduce the ingredients I could have burned easily in the very beginning, which is the paprika and the garlic. So here we're doing it at this stage, they remain aromatic and they remain intact before we serve this. So here I'm just adding the paprika, and at this stage, this part of the process will just heat the paprika and to make it very, very fragrant.
1 minute, 37 seconds later.
So now everything has been incorporated and everyone is to the party and having a good time. And now it's time to add our tomatoes. And I'm adding this to the pan with no extra water because there's already water in this can and this product. And so I'm just gonna fold these ingredients together, and I'm going to turn up the heat to about medium high because I'm gonna be introducing a raw product, which are eggs. So you can see there's a little bit of like water in here, and I want to evaporate that out so the final dish, when I serve it on tortillas, is not gonna be a watery mess.
15 minutes later.
So it's been about 15 minutes and I've allowed this to evaporate a little bit more and also get ready for adding my raw eggs. So I'm gonna do about 4 eggs. You can also do more if you wanted to, depending on the size of your saucepan. In order for your eggs to cook effectively in the pan, you want them to have a deep well. You want them to sit in an actual hole to properly poach them. That's what this residual heat's gonna do, because we've already cranked up that heat, right, to medium high. So the key here is that you do not want to touch anything. You want to let them poach by putting a lid on and letting the heat and the steam poach the top while the sauce is cooking at the bottom.
Meanwhile,
I decided I'm already hungry. Let's make a little bit of salsa with the remaining ingredients like cilantro, red onion, jalapeno, garlic, of course, and a little bit of lime juice. And also, of course, I made my homemade tortillas. This is actually my first attempt of making tortillas, and I think I did pretty good. What do you guys think? They're blue corn tortillas, not anything weird.
a little longer than a few minutes later.
And voila, you have beautifully poached eggs in a delicious shakshuka style tomato sauce, Spanish edition. That was a mouthful. So right now I'm just testing the setness of my yolks, because obviously the whites have been set, which also tells me that I cooked them correctly. You just gotta plate up at this point. So what I did is I put a little bit of the homemade salsa on the bottom, and here I'm gonna do a cross section of what my yolk looks like. Oh, beautiful. And of course you gotta garnish with a little bit of cilantro, even though it looks kind of sad. It's okay, let's just see how it tastes. Oh my goodness, this is a mouthful. You see that? Oh, it's already dripping. Oops. If you're really trying to get those veggies in and protein in, definitely do this. This is a win-win. This is one of those dishes that you can also just throw different things in to use up those ingredients, because the tomatoes are a nice blanket that can hide, if you're not careful, the flavors that you're trying to highlight, which is the sofrito here. So I think what I would do differently next time is use salt. I really wanted to push myself to the limit this time and try it in its rawest form without any accentuation, without any enhancing from salt. And you know what? It's not bad for the food trauma that I have. And I keep saying this because if you've had food trauma or food poisoning or something of that nature, you understand. It's hard. I'm just really proud of myself that I made this, and I would make it again. I just would want to add a lot of salt next time. So our next video is going to be the Cajun Holy Trinity, and you've probably heard that word before, and we're gonna explore some classic Southern dishes or dish. I'm gonna try to find like the best one that highlights this Mirepoix. So tune in next week when we look at the Cajun side of things, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thanks so much for watching. Like, share, comment, subscribe, all the things. This is a heart, in case you're wondering. Bye.